to start? Where do I even begin to get you guys up to speed, and how do I get you guys up to speed with everything that's happening? So I want to start with the state of the firearms industry pre-corona and what I saw pre-coronavirus and what was going on out there. I've been insanely outspoken about where I saw things, how I saw things. I've always been outspoken about that, and just kind of where I saw the universe. And I am someone that, has had a lot to say. And I believe in a lot of different things that sometimes aren't necessarily mainstream or aren't the part of the mainstream thought process. But the reality is, I've always felt and still feel that the firearms industry has been a laggard in how not only it markets itself, how it puts itself out there, and how it displays itself to the public. And we're going to get into some of that. This is a huge moment of pause, and the coronavirus has caused people to not only have runs on toilet paper and food, but we're seeing unprecedented runs on ammo and firearms. This is a generational thing. Now, anybody who knows me knows I talk to everybody. There's not a person I don't talk to in the firearms business. I speak with everyone. And I've been in contact with many manufacturers, many different brands, many different companies regarding what I see out there. I've literally talked to companies that have sold millions of rounds in the last few days. And it's absolutely insane, the amount of ammunition and the amount of firearms that have been sold. I'm also hearing, and this is the topic everybody wants to get into, that we have not seen the unprecedented amount of liberals that are now purchasing firearms. And they're wondering why they can't get their hands on them faster. They're wondering why they can't get their hands on these firearms quicker. I find that obviously hilarious to me. I talked to multiple gun store owners that have had multiple first-time buyers that they can't wrap their head around why and how and in the reasons why they can't go home with the firearm today. And that's really unheard of. It's unprecedented. So, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack. There's so much. So I ask all you guys, I don't know what you're seeing in your community, but I'm literally seeing a box of 9mm be sold for $50 out there right now. People are scared. And we'll get to whether it's right or wrong. We'll get to where all the pieces fall. I have my thoughts on it. I have my opinions on it. I think, there's a lot of people that could be doing a better job educating people. There's a lot of groups that could be doing a better job educating people. But to all the businesses, I say this. You have to be very judicious about your inventory. What you do now is going to make or break you later. It's going to make or break you later. So you have to be aware of your inventories. This is a time for you to expand and grow. This is a time for you to develop new markets. This is a time for you to start to get into spaces you maybe haven't been in. This is a great time for you to start to consider all the different avenues of where you want to go with this, where you want to be as a business, what you want to do, and how you want to do it. It's really a phenomenal period. So you have to start to think about all the different factors and where you see them fitting in and how they fit for you. I don't know exactly what's going to make sense for every business. I've talked to a few businesses and I said, you really need to consider all the different avenues and you need to consider all the different options for you. I don't understand the mechanisms of everybody's business. That doesn't make me an expert, but I'm available and I'm always willing to answer questions as best possible. But I will tell you this period right now, as far as the firearms business, will make or break a lot of businesses. It'll make or break a lot of them. And those that are going to make it are going to be the ones that hunker down, manage inventories properly, perhaps expand into new markets, and develop the proper long-term marketing plan. Now, I've talked to multiple companies. What we're seeing right now has never been seen. The amount of ammunition, and I'm not going to name the people or necessarily some of the companies, because I consider them friends and their contacts, and they don't want it released per se, but the amount of inventories that have literally collapsed overnight is unheard of. It's unprecedented. It's never been on this level. It's never been on this level. It's going to continue to escalate. It's going to continue to get worse. It's going to continue to cause a run on the market, good or bad. However you feel about it makes no difference. People are scared, and that fear is being perpetuated by the left, the same people that are going in the gun stores and don't understand why they can't get their hands on a firearm right now. So how do we as a group unpack this? How do we process this? Because it's all about how you process things, right? So I suggest to everybody out there, be patient. You don't need tens of thousands of rounds. You don't need to go crazy. I would suggest your fear has to be your fear has to be really looters and people trying to take resources that you may or may not have. I think that there could be more information put out there by leadership groups, whether it be the NRA, whether it be manufacturers, you name it. There's so many resources out there, and there's a lot of people out there just buying anything that they can get their hands on. I've had people call me that I haven't spoken with in years, looking for plate carriers, looking for ammunition, people that were I guess you'd say, believers. I've never seen anything like it. Whether or not this is something that slows down, I think we're going to see a run on all the different things around our industry, around the firearms and defense industry for a very long time. And the result of that is going to be what I think a monumental shift in the firearms culture. But I can't stress enough that what you do now as a brand is going to make or break you. So to the businesses out there that I have friendships with, I have relationships with, that I've known for years, what you do now is going to make or break you. I can't stress that enough. So make sure you're smart and make sure you understand that all these things are factors and are going to affect your business. They're going to affect your business for a long time. If you have not sat down and re-examined your marketing strategy, please do it, because now you're opening up new markets and you have to capture those new markets. And if you think for 1 second mag dumps in a desert are going to work to capture those markets, you're crazy. So please think it through. It's a very scary time. People are panic buying and people are flooding the market. I can guarantee you this, the good companies, the great brands, they're sitting around and they're doing a lot of deep dive analysis on things that make sense, like managing those inventories and taking care of those inventories. So I can't stress it enough. You have to be judicious right now. You have to be smart. You have to raise your prices, but at the same time, balance that, not be a total jerk. And the reason to everybody out there listening that's like, oh, what do you mean raise prices? You can't have runs on inventory like this, because then you're not going to be able to succeed for the long term. So you have to be able to maintain a certain amount of production. And right now, some of these brands aren't going to be able to maintain that level of production. But what you have is something that's just unheard of right now. It's never been seen. So I wanted to do this podcast, and everybody knows I rarely do a live one like this where it's just me. But I felt it was necessary. I had Jerry Mitchellek on the other day. You know, he chimed in with some of his thoughts. And there's a lot of brands that are going to be doing a lot of self-analysis after this. They're going to be doing a lot of, deep dive look into how they do business, because you're opening up a new market. And I can't stress that enough, what that means, what that is. And it's not the everyday regular gun buyer. It's a new gun buyer. It's a new ammo buyer. So if you're smart, and I hope that you are, and you understand what's going on here as a brand, be judicious. To everybody out there listening that's not a brand or a company, you don't need to go out and buy 50 guns. And in fact, many gun stores have placed a cap on the amount of guns you can go home with. But you do need to make some smart decisions. Do I think protecting your family is important? Yes. Do I think owning a firearm or ammunition is important right now? Yes. Do I think some of this coronavirus stuff has been blown way out of proportion? Yes. So I say yes to all of these things with a grain of salt on my end, but at the same time, I also say better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So to everybody out there that is running out and thinks they need to have everything, you don't need to have everything. You don't. You don't necessarily have to run out the door and buy a pallet of ammunition, even if you could get it. If you haven't been trained on firearms and you don't understand firearms, I would highly recommend that you learn from somebody that does and that understands it very well before you place one in your home, and you at least have the ability to store it properly. Otherwise, I'm all for every new gun owner. All for it. All for it. But to be realistic here, people, we can't go crazy. We can't have people causing runs on the market. We have to be a little smart about this. So please, be smart. Do the right things. Participate in the market properly. Don't misunderstand me. I'm all for everything that's happening right now. And I'm a huge fan of the market expanding. But there has to be that understanding. There has to be that grip on reality. And I think at some point, people need to be incredibly smart about this. And I worry that some people aren't using their head. They're not understanding the market. They're not having a firm grasp on things. And that's a problem for me. Get a firm grasp on it. Understand what you're not, and understand where it's going, and understand what's necessary and what you need to do to be a good gun owner and to be a good participant in this industry. But I want everybody to know I'm behind you 150%. I'm with you. I think this is, I think it's the right thing. But also be careful. Be smart. And that's just good advice I want to give everybody. To anybody out there that, understands the nature of what's going on here in our industry, and to say that I do would be a laugh. It's unheard of. We've never seen it. So to say that we do is a lie. We don't. It's never happened. It's a once in a generation deal here. And as exciting as it is also as scary as it is. So be smart, be judicious, make wise decisions. I love seeing people participate in the business. But I also want people to understand these laws that have been passed in the last few years and have gone through in the last few years have been laws that have caused the problems that many people are experiencing today in gun stores. And the problems that you're experiencing today in gun stores are problems that we've all tried to fix. And I want everybody to understand that. The issues that we face going forward and how to fix them are issues that have plagued us for a really long time. And I think if people understood that, really, and I'm talking about to Washington, and I'm talking about in general, if they understood that we have tried to educate you, we've tried to fix these things, we've tried to get these things adjusted, we've tried to get the mentality changed, and we've tried to do it for a very long time. And we want to see it change. We want to see it adjusted. We want to see the industry grow. The reality is just we can't get there without your help. So if anything good comes out of this, anything, please appeal to your congressman, appeal to your elected official, appeal to your mayor, appeal to the people that are willing to listen first and talk to them and have a conversation about what this means to you, what it means to maybe your friends, your family, constituency, other areas, because it might go a long way. It might make the difference. It might. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. You may live in a district that it's not possible. I just don't know. But do the best you can. That's something that I think would go a long way. To everybody out there that owns a business in the firearms industry, I can't stress enough. Please manage your inventories. Be smart. Don't be someone that rushes to the altar, so to speak. Don't do that. Be somebody that provides information, that has a good social understanding, that knows how to make a case, that knows how to articulate something. Because we don't need to blow this opportunity, because I think it's a big one. I believe that. I believe it with all my heart. I think it's a tremendous opportunity to get out in front of people, to educate them, to offer them some sense of, I guess, calm, and to try to push it towards what I've talked about for a long time on this platform, which is having a conversation. So please use the time, be smart about it, and be judicious. Sorry, I get calls from time to time. I would put people on air, but that's a family member, so I'm going to avoid that. I can't stress enough to you guys. So please use it wisely. Use it wisely. Be intelligent about it. And take the opportunity to educate as many people around you as you can, because we don't need to take a step back. It's time to take a step forward. I had a bunch of questions I want to get to. So I got some questions about what people should buy. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's so dire out there that I don't want to say, you know, buy what you can get your hands on. I don't want to say, you know, buy whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to give you guys some good, smart information. So here's the deal. If you can get a handgun, great. If you can get a shotgun, great. But make sure you have somebody close to you that can educate you on how to use it, what that means, what's all involved in that, and understand the process of applying for a permit the right way after. It's important. If you are a gun owner that is just kind of getting into this and thinks this is going to be a one and done and doesn't anticipate being a part of the future or whatever of this, you know, please consider it. We could definitely use your support. We could use your help. We could use your insight. The industry needs new voices. The industry needs new voices. So it's important. As far as where this goes, the industry is going to see for a very, very long time a quiet period with a lot of stuff shipping and moving. And by quiet period, I mean it's going to take time for the inventories to catch up. It's going to take time for people to get their arms around what's going on. That's going to be a rough one. So if, you know, if you don't know what to do and you just don't even know where to begin, reach out to somebody, ask questions, maybe start by joining a local gun range, you know. I see a lot of people getting into the industry, and I'm hopeful. And I'm hopeful that a lot of them will participate. I really hope that they do. You know, I'd love to get some insight and get some people to talk about it, but it's going to be very hard to get people to, you know, chime in on just how serious it is and just how much ammunition's been sold and just how many guns. But I can tell you all from me, it's unprecedented. It's amounts we've never seen. It's the likes of which we've never seen. And it's something that is really unheard of. So I'm excited at the same time, cautious. Now, jumping to the next topic, like the NRA and the participation they can have in all this and how help. I want to see the NRA offer even more educational stuff than they are. Okay? They've become, in my opinion, insanely political. But I'd like to see them, you know, come out with more online stuff, make more online available right now, more education available to meet the needs. I'm hoping to get Mark Lancaster to call in from Lancaster Squared Away Customs and and from Sports South. You know, if he calls in, we'll get some words. And I'm trying to square that up now. To all you guys out there, I can't express how unprecedented this is. It's really unheard of. it's a really, really trying time, and it's unique. So I want to take a minute. Everybody kind of catch your breath. I'm going to try to get you some market insights so you know that it's not just coming from me. And here we go. We're going to go live right now to Mark Lancaster. Mark, what insight and to all you guys listening, check out Squared Away Customs. Mark, what insight can you give us into how insane this is?
Yeah, I've been in the industry for, I don't know, since before the Sandy Hook days, and this is unlike anything I've ever seen, that's for sure. No doubt about it.
We're really in a unique time now. Without getting into it, I talked to so many people across the industry. I mean, this is just unprecedented, and this isn't coming from just you. This is coming from major manufacturers. Literally, pallets of ammo are disappearing. Warehouses are getting cleaned out. Inventory's moving that we've never expected to move. I stress to everybody listening, especially businesses, and I know that's something you can speak on, managing your inventory and managing your business and adjusting how you market is going to be critical in the next few months.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, because, I mean, really depending on what happens with delivery packages and the mail, and I know that the mail is already all sorts of messed up. FedEx packages that are going from New Hampshire to Louisiana somehow are ending up in Montana. I mean, it's just like things are definitely messy and getting very sloppy with this influx of business. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And, you know, I'm speaking from an angle of, yes, I'm the owner of the Squared Away Customs, but I also work for a major wholesale firearms distributor.
Yeah.
And,
you know,
we're seeing a lot of it there too.
I don't want you to go, you know, I know you're speaking more on behalf of Squared Away Customs with a nod to the other side, but it's unprecedented, right? I think you can go on record saying that.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's something the industry hasn't seen, and I'll go ahead and put it out there. I've talked to many folks at the higher levels at Sig Sauer, Remington. This is something we haven't seen. Yeah,
and it's crazy, because you wouldn't think that something like a holster would be ramping up in this sort of business. You know, everybody's talking about guns and ammo, which is absolutely the case, but, you know, holster sales have doubled, if not tripled, in the last week or so. And of course, another big part of what we do is the Polymer 80, which is the 80% Glock receivers, and those are selling like crazy too. I mean, we're basically sold out of them at this point.
What advice would you give businesses, and I know you're in contact with a lot of small FFLs and online retailers? I've been telling everybody, now's the time you have to manage your inventories. You got to be smart, because you can get a lot of market share right now, but you got to be smart.
Yeah, I mean, there's I'm seeing a lot already that there's a lot of price gouging going on, and I can't stress enough how bad I think that is for your long-term success of your business, because the buyer is going to remember. You know, charging retail plus is never, ever going to be good for your business. It may be good for you now, but it's not good for you later. And they say, you know, the response is, well, in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be selling anything. But it's like, yeah, but you're selling 5 times more than you would be right now. Right?
You know, I think it's okay to charge a slight premium. You know, and what I mean by that, Mark, is I understand, you know, 5% increases, whatever, right? Because you have to source it and everybody's hustling a little harder. There's always a cost of doing business. I can understand that to a point, as I'm sure you can, right? And people have to expect that, right? Like a little bit of like, hey, look, we're trying to get you the product. We're hustling. We're around the clock, right? To get you everything. And that's part of it, right? Like I'm sure you're working around the clock to get holsters done and get stuff made and get stuff shipped out to the right FFLs. And there's a little bit of a premium on that. And you know, to everybody out there, what I'm getting at with the price gouging, where I agree with Mark, is I'm seeing $50 a box on the street for a 9mm. That can't be going on. We have to balance that, and the only way to balance that is to keep some of these businesses flush. I spoke with a very, very large retailer the other day who's not in the ammo space, who wants to get in it obviously because of this, and I said, you know, put a toe in the water with it. Don't expect to do a gazillion rounds, but this is a great time to expand into areas you haven't been in. Hey, we have ammo, right? But to your point, don't go out and gouge them and try to capitalize on it in a way that's, you know, he asked me, he said, what do you think I should price it at? I said, I would go about average with the industry, maybe add 5%. The most. I wouldn't add more than that. And maybe the reason being because it's a new space for you. You don't want to sell out immediately because that looks bad too. But you also want to have, some inventory on hand and drip it out into there and grow your market share consistently and let everybody know, hey, get out there into lives. There's so much social media and so many ways to reach out to people. Say, look, we're working round the clock and we're trying we're not going to gouge you, but there is going to be a small premium associated with it. I understand that if explained properly. Like if you said to me, John, I'm going to get you holsters, but I'm working around the clock,
Yep.
and I would understand that. That would make sense to me. Right. But at the same time, I think it just has to be explained to people. But, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of companies make a lot of mistakes too in necessarily in their ordering and what they're trying to put out. They're trying to get into everything too quick. That's a problem too.
Absolutely, because they're not keeping track of what they're ordering. You know what I mean? It's just like, I can't even remember what I ordered 2 days ago, and obviously it's not there yet because everything is so delayed and so backed up, but they're just ordering. And then, I ran into this with one shop, and then they were, mandated to close, right? So now they have all this inventory on the way, en route, and they can't be open for business. So they're going to have to rely on the internet sales to help that, which is not a space that they're comfortable in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, as far as the price gouging is concerned, nobody was ever paying retail before. And that's why I feel like asking for retail is fair now. It's when it's retail plus. And that's when I think it starts getting a little sticky. If you were charging retail before, then you probably weren't selling a whole heck of a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the companies that are going to abuse it, Mark, are going to be the companies that they didn't have a strong retail footprint to begin with, and they're just trying to do a cash grab. And we both know, and we've seen it 100 times in this business, we both know how it is. And they're going to just go out there and they're going to try to grab as much cash as they can. And, it's going to be here and gone, and they're going to be back to selling, pouches, whatever it is. The companies that are smart will use this as a way to expand into other markets by properly positioning themselves to be the one-stop shop to get what people need. Because I do think we are going to enter a little bit of a new normal where you're going to have a lot of new gun owners. I was talking about this earlier, coming into the market. The marketing has to change, the way people position themselves, because you have a lot of uneducated people purchasing guns right now. And you have a lot of people that don't really understand the mechanisms of firearms purchasing and ammo, guns, mags, stuff like that. We have to capture those people as an industry, right? Like we have to convert them. And we talk about this a lot when I worked in banking. We have to convert a customer into a client. We can't have them, when this is over, put the gun in a drawer and say, well, that was fun, that was easy. We have to get them indoctrinated. And whose responsibility is that? Is it a little bit of the manufacturer? Is it a little bit of the NRA? Where does that all fall, and how does that shake out?
Yeah, I think it's a full spectrum, though. I think it starts at the gun shop where they purchase the gun from. I think them being pressed on education and learning, and this is why, and some basic what not to do, and then stress and training after the fact, and even if it's like dry fire and YouTube at this point, obviously there's not a lot of training going on out there right now, and travel's not happening, and so on and so forth. But some education so people aren't getting hurt, because that's going to be the worst thing. It's just a bunch of brand new gun owners, and then of course we have this pandemic dealing with, and now we're going to have a bunch of negligent discharges and hurt people. It's just like, it's just going to be not what this industry needs whatsoever. So I think first and foremost, it's going to be landing on the gun shop to really be making sure that these customers are getting like some serious strict warnings. This is not a joke.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up training, because I want to say this to everybody out there in the industry. I talk to a lot of trainers, as Mark does. We have to make sure we support the trainers when they go back to work. They're going to need help getting ammo. They're going to need help sourcing stuff for their students. Please, those guys are going to take a while to ramp up. We need to support them. They're the lifeblood of the industry.
Absolutely. You
want to add anything to that?
No, I absolutely agree. I feel like training has gotten to be in a really good place over the last 10 years, and constantly growing, and you're seeing a lot of new guys doing really great things and feeling really supportive of the community and putting out good content. and putting out a lot of free content that is also really awesome. And that's a really good thing to see, rather than just being like, oh, well, this is my trade secret and you're not having it. You know what I mean? There's guys getting a little bit of snippets that can be really helpful for the novice or the advanced shooter out there in social media and so on and so forth. So, I mean, support them for sure. And there's no training faster. You can never have enough.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna absolutely be trying times, and it's gonna be something that I think could either springboard us and help us. What do you think about all the liberals now buying firearms for the first time and wondering why they can't take them home right now?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious, right? I mean, it's exactly the ignorance that we've been trying to show them for so long. You know, this buying a gun on the internet, not needing a background check thing is just crap, and it always has been. And nobody really ever understands until they try to do it. You know,
yeah.
No matter how much you tell them, they just think you're taking an angle. But now that they're actually trying to do it and learning about it, it's I think it's hilarious.
I was in a very well-known shooter's gun shop in Las Vegas. You can put two and two together out there and figure out who it is. But literally, I had the shop owner saying that people, first-time buyers, probably liberals, were saying, "Isn't there a loophole? Why can't I go home with it today?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just literally quoting off their Bible, which is the news, right? Quoting right off their Bible and saying, how do I take this home now and basically break the law? Or literally saying in the shop, I'm getting this for my daughter or my niece or whoever. And you're like, that's a straw purchase. Please leave.
That's a felony.
Yeah, it's a felony. And do you anticipate, and have you already seen this trickle down? You brought up holsters, of course. Do you see this trickling all the way down to everything else, camo, pouches, everything else?
Absolutely. And not that I'm seeing it, but I think it already is. I mean, people aren't ordering, battle belt gear, and they're not ordering, cool custom print holsters. They're ordering concealment holsters for concealable guns, and that's what's selling like crazy right now. Bread and butter, entry level price point guns. Basic Glock, basic Smith. Not like, oh, I have a Zev and I have this on my gun, and oh, I have an agency with this and this and this on my gun. It's a lot of basic stuff, and the basic stuff has never really been huge bread and butter for us, but that's what's selling like crazy right now.
Yeah, I think, body armor will be one of the first things. Obviously, I think it'll trickle down to, everything else, camo. And, I think that not only will this be unprecedented on the firearm side, it's going to be unprecedented across the board in terms of upticks. How long it'll last, I think, obviously, to the end of the year. We have an election, which is going to keep the pot stirring. Can we keep up? Can we keep up with inventories, Mark? That's the $1 million question for you.
I don't think so. I think that there's definitely going to be. I mean, we're in the midst of a big bubble. We're in a really good place, and there's been a very good supply chain. But nobody was, expecting a $300 to $500 million surge in the gun business that all happens in a couple of weeks. I mean, this bubble is going to pop, and there's going to be a dress though. There's no way we can sustain it and not have that.
I mean, I brought up, managing inventories. How do brands fix it, though?
I think they fix it by just maintaining what they're doing. And honestly, I don't think they're going to be able to fix it. I mean, there's no way. You know what I mean?
The tidal wave is just too powerful.
It's just too powerful. And then you have companies that are actually doing things that are switching manufacturing over to making different things. I heard it's not necessarily firearms industry, but this is probably going to happen in our space, some places too, to help with this virus. You know what I mean? You hear Hanes is now switching gears and stopping making t-shirts, and they're going to start making, masks. You know what I mean? To try and help this, which is, I think, a pretty awesome and pretty stand-up thing for them to be doing. And, I don't know how many spaces in the firearms industry can get there, but there probably will be some, I can imagine. But you hear bourbon companies are making hand sanitizers. You know what I mean? I think it's a part of a community effort of really trying to get in front of this thing. But I honestly don't know how, with a surge like that we've had over the last week and what's going to continue into this week, and I don't know how a manufacturer, they can't just turn on and just make that. You know what I mean? It takes time. and there's definitely going to be a lull, I think.
Do you think the brands that are changing gears, like we've seen some brands out there, Coltac, a few others, do you think the ones that are changing gears and making different things are smart? I think so.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. I think that it's wise. I think that we need those brands, and we need them to be doing something that's going to keep them going. You know, the last thing we want to do is see these solid, awesome brands that are do great things for our industry falter because of the state that the industry's in. Mm-hmm. So whatever they can do to stay afloat, and whatever you can do to support small business, I think is huge.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I think any way and every way you can support and get folks out there into the space and grow not just your market share, but also this is a great time to enhance your business practices. And you're going to do that by talking to guys like Mark, your dealers, you know what I mean? And learn and understand all the different mechanisms of what you're doing, because if you don't, and you don't take the opportunity to do that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. I think you have to lean on folks like Mark and use your resources. What resources do the FFLs have available to them? You know, I know I brought up you, but, you know, is it something that you can help them with? Is it something that, you know, they should be, is there other resources, the NSSF? Where can people go?
I'm not really sure if a bunch of what sort of resources can help there. I think that, you know, just really it's really hard to take a step back and take a, you know, more of a methodical approach to how you're going to run this when you've got a line of 50 people at your door raging to spend money in your shop. You know what I mean? I think it's really hard to take a step back and say, well, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's give this some thought. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like the dealer I was speaking about that, you know, has to shut down. Like, he's shutting down and he's got, you know, $57,000 worth of inventory on his way to him. You know what I mean? Like, this is not an order that he normally would have done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, as much as you love, I read a story about a gun shop in Philadelphia that the guy was like, I was literally months from closing my doors. Now he's like, I'm just scrambling to get, you know, to satisfy the market. Do you, there's a lot of business. We know 1,000 businesses like that. If they're smart, they'll be able to set themselves up for the long haul in this. If they're smart about indoctrinating a lot of these customers, turning them into clients, like we said. And I think the new dynamic needs to be a lot of these FFL owners need to partner with not only somebody like Ian Strimbeck or Tony Sentmanat or Carrie Trainer, any of these guys out there, and start to offer training on a high level, start to offer education. And if you're not already in the building, get your hands into all these different spaces, because I'm going to come out and say it, Mark, unless you're really sophisticated as an online dealer and you're online, you know, doing well, making, you know, enough to carry your business with accessories and other things, as well as having a storefront, you're not going to survive if you're not offering everything in the store. Yeah.
Yeah, your fingers in a lot of stuff, because once like we talked about, once the supply chain runs out and you run out of things to do, you still have to pay your people. And, you know, hopefully you saved well during this booming time and you've paid your bills so that you can continue to get stuff. If, you know, there are some basic stuff there's basic stuff that are still going to be in inventory. You know what I mean? You're still going to have people that comes in needing a shotgun to go bird hunting, or want a shotgun to go bird hunting, maybe, you know, then that would probably still be available. There's probably still be able to get a 30-06 bolt action, and you'd probably still be able to get shells for it. You know what I mean? It's that 9mm, the AR-15, the concealed carry pistol, the basic price pistols, you know, things like that are going to be super, super, super short for a while, I think.
How long? What's your estimation?
I have no idea, because we don't know when this is going to end, right? So I don't know when the buying is going to end. I don't know when the panic purchase is going to end. And then I don't know when, you know, these manufacturing companies are going to be able to get back to work, because right now, I mean, they're going to start closing doors and you're not going to be able to produce until we get this virus thing figured out. You know, we can't stick 500 people in a manufacturing facility to produce gear when this virus is out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's really hard to say. There's so many unknowns out there right now, and I know what nobody wants to hear, but it's really hard to say, because we don't know what the future holds as far as the virus is concerned. It all really is in the hands of people washing their hands, keeping their distance, stop ignoring what everybody's saying, and stay home if you can.
I know for a very large manufacturer, we both know, Some have been deemed, necessary because of their military contracts and so forth. And some of the smaller FFLs have managed to stay open because they do a lot of gunsmithing for law enforcement. So they're finding these little loopholes to keep the doors open and still keep working, or they're working by appointment. And that's great. I love to see that. There's always, in this industry, there's a little bit of a workaround, right? But some of their fears, especially on the manufacturing floor, is if one person gets it, we're effed, so to speak. We're fucked. And that's kind of one of the deals they worry about. So it's coming down to the wire here, and we want to see our guys make hay, right? We want to see our guys do well. We want to see all that happen. It's just a matter of getting it to that next level. So, my advice, if you will, would be, try to work by appointment. Use this as an opportunity to do some analysis into how you do your business. If you're a small FFL owner, get your finger into some different areas, some different spheres. It's a good time to analyze maybe an online operation that you don't have, and that's something you can talk to Mark about, and talk about setting up classes if you're not offering them, partnering with a instructor if you haven't already. You talk about it's hard because they're kind of just throwing water on a forest fire, right? Throwing a bucket of water on a forest fire. But at the same time, you can start to build these things out, because a lot of people are out there looking for temporary work and whatnot. You can bring some good people in that can just help you. And there's a lot of people out there just looking for something to do. And yes, social distancing, everything withstanding, you can work from home. You can work, you can do a lot of this stuff from afar. So I think you're going to have to, a lot of these manufacturers and a lot of these companies are going to have to re-examine what the new normal is and how people work.
Yeah, we've got a friend down in New Jersey who's got people waiting outside with distance. He's allowing 2 to 3 people in the showroom at any given time. Once they leave, a new one comes in, squirts their hand with the sanitizer, and then does the business. So he's not packing, last week at one point he's looking at 30 people in the store, and he's like, this is not helping the situation at all. You know what I mean? So now everybody waits outside in line, in a spaced out line, 2 to 3 at a time, and they got clean hands when they walk in the door. You know what I mean? And that's I think a super responsible way to handle the situation.
Are you feeling the ability to satisfy everybody's needs, or are you starting to see that taper off a little?
It's already tapering, yeah. No, there's as far as like on the wholesale distribution side of things, like ammo is obviously already an issue. The good thing is there's still supply chain there, right? We sold everything that was in inventory. We still have, 800, 900 pallets en route. So that's good. But it's when the manufacturer's supply chain has dwindled and they don't have back stock, they're not going to be able to ship anything. So all they're going to be able to ship is what they can produce on the fly. That's when it'll become an issue. So we're still a few weeks out of being out of product. You know what I mean? But it's going to happen eventually.
I know multiple ammunition. I know one very large ammunition manufacturer that said to me they are literally down to 500,000 rounds in their warehouse right now. They can pull an emergency lever and get a few million, but literally they're dipping it. It's like oil reserves. They're literally dipping into their reserves. And I know you know what I mean, how they stock this stuff. You guys are flush as the distributors, and then it goes to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer may keep 3, 4, 5 million rounds on hand, and then it goes to maybe rerouting stuff that's overseas or wherever. And we're already starting to see that process of rerouting, but this is a very large manufacturer that everybody would know, and I'm under friend DA on this, that literally is down to 500,000 rounds. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot of the same.
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. And it's huge. Some of the, what's kind of funny is like the first thing to sell out was tactical shotguns, which is very telling that there is a very maybe newer, a little bit more uneducated firearms person making the purchase, right?
Of course,
because that's the easiest thing. They know how to run it because they watch a TV movie, a movie on the TV, and it's cheap, and the ammo is cheap as well and available, right? Those are the first things to be gone. I mean, they are gone. Every 870, every 590, every 500, every Maverick 88. I mean, if it's black and it was a pump action shotgun, it was gone like Monday. You know what I mean? And now the double out buck and all that, was soon to follow, and it was cheap. It was, Tauruses and cheap, inexpensive pistols, that are good guns for the money, and they're gone. You know what I mean? And then it went to Glocks, and every Glock 9mm is gone. You know what I mean? And it just progressively is starting to go up, and now we're back at AR-50.
And I think what the good that'll come out of this is a lot of people's older inventory will move, but they'll move a lot of the dusty inventory, but that's when it's like you said, it's going to start to get scary. What is in stock? I imagine lever actions and certain things. What is still available?
Lever actions, shotgun at 24 inches or longer. Most of the entry level ARs are gone. We're now looking at things in the price points of $800 to $900 to $1,000 and up. Those sorts of things are what's left now. The 5.56 ammo and the 9mm ammo is temporarily out, but will be replenished soon. These are the sorts of things that we're dealing with now.
How do we keep these people as customers?
There's so many unknowns, John, that I really, with what's happening with this virus, it makes it really impossible to know what the long-term plan is. I almost feel like it's a day by day. You just gotta roll with it. You know what I mean? Which is a really crappy way to do business, but I don't see many options at this point.
I will come out and say it. I think the NRA should be offering more online classes now. I think they should be re-examining how they do things, but I think as a whole, marketing across the industry, I believe, should, whether or not it will is another story, change drastically. Mm-hmm. Because people have to re-examine how they market to all these new customers. And I think this is a golden opportunity for a lot of brands to re-examine how they position themselves in the marketplace, because we're probably going to set a record on NICS checks, right? So we're probably going to set a record there, which means you're going to have an insane amount of new gun owners out there in the industry. Now, how do you convert them and indoctrinate them into the business of being a client and being someone who's a regular in the gun store? I think that'll continue until towards the end of the year. But, I've seen even the most, I don't want to say liberal, but most casual gun owners literally show up at my house to buy ammunition, and that's something that's really interesting and really unique. And when you're seeing that, it's a huge shift. And I think the industry has to examine how they let people into the community. I think we need to be more open. I think we need to be more honest. I think we need to offer as much education as possible. But I also think, supportive, pleasant. That's a shocker, right? But I think we also have to examine how we approach what we put out there. We can't be doing mag dumps in a desert and saying this is marketing. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly. We need to be better at it. It's got to change and it has to shift. Now, you're doing your best, and I know you're working day and night. Before I let you go, I know you're working day and night to satisfy everybody's order, work with every FFL, and still grow your business and your market share at the same time. What are you doing to manage inventories, or is it just, give me a call and see what I have, or are you kind of trying to advise these people as you go too?
Yeah, I'm trying to advise them and let them know that, this is, nothing you want to, necessarily play with. Like, I have people calling and saying, I want 100 of these when normally they'd order 5. It's like, you realize that you still need to pay this bill. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily think you could order the 100. They could show up to you on Monday and you could be forced to close on Tuesday. Is that a good position to be in? Right. So I'm trying to talk to all my dealer network, and I'm trying to talk to all my customers and making sure they're playing it safe, because the last thing I want to do is get a bunch of product out the door and sell a bunch of product. Yeah, that's great, but I want to do it for the right reason. I want to make sure that they're not left with like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Yeah, because that's not going to help. I can ask you this 100 times, but how do you think this coronavirus plays out as pertains to the industry? Oh, man, it's so hard to even think about, because there's so many moving parts to it. There's so much depending on how people do sheltering in place and keeping themselves at home and keeping their hands clean and stop going out in the public if they don't need to, and just following what people are asking them to do. It's such an important thing. And, you see this younger generation blowing it off. Like, it's not going to hurt me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not helping the problem at all. It's making it worse. And man, I can't even throw a dart at it. I'm like, I really have no idea. I know I'm just going to keep my nose to the ground, trying to keep doing what I do and try and educate people the best that I can and help them get through this. But that's the best that I can do. And focus on me and focus on my family, my friends, and make sure we're safe and keep supplies on hand and that's all I can do.
And as it relates to the industry, I think it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be an interesting ride. It's going to be an interesting year, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. Do you think they'll try to reboot the NRA show or try to save it for the end of the year, or how do you think shows will play out?
I was thinking about that, but they didn't do postponed. They didn't say anything like that. They just said straight up canceled. You know what I mean? So I don't think that they're going to, honestly, which is a bummer. You know, I always enjoy those sorts of things. I get to catch up with my friends in the industry, talk to them on the phone every day, with a shake a hand, go to a beer with them type of thing. You know, it's a great thing to do. But that's on the business that's not getting done. It's getting done in different ways, I suppose. But maybe they'll start a new line too.
And you know how it's gone. You know how it's gone for years in the manufacturing side. Everybody always, wants everybody in the building, set hours type of thing. This is going to cause a huge shift in the way manufacturers even manage personnel and how that's handled.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because it's going to force them to re-examine the whole situation and how they approach managing their personnel and their people. And I know a lot of people right now are running on skeleton crews. My real hope, Mark, in all this, I think it's your hope too, it's everybody's hope, is that a lot of these big manufacturers and companies are very judicious. They're smart in their approach of how they manage things. They're able to build something off of this that's sustainable, because at the end of the day, this is about jobs too. You know, we get encouraging news when we hear about like Domino's and pizza delivery places hiring, 10,000 people and putting more workforce to work. That helps. And we talk about adjusting the curve on both sides. I hope some of these manufacturers are smart, stow some of the money away, and are able to keep people employed and keep people working. And at the end of the day, keeping the machine moving forward, and that's the key. Yeah. In the end of all this, that's really my selfish hope. And to all the FFL owners out there, I say, be smart. The cash you earn today can build your business tomorrow. Start to look at this and examine all the different things that you're doing and use it as an opportunity, maybe to stem into a market you haven't been in yet. Because if you have extra flush cash, it's not a bad inventory. Sometimes is never a bad thing. And you're seeing that now. To a lot of the guys that worked on skimpy inventory, they missed this, and they're the ones that'll suffer the most.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing I think that somebody made a point to me the other day is that you got all this influx of cash and you don't have to pay for it for 30 days. But you're going to start running out of credit lines too. Yeah, your credit lines get filled. So I mean, what I've been telling dealers is like, man, you're like a money making machine right now. Pay those bills immediately upon receiving the product, and that way you get one less thing you need to worry about. And then everything else is you can go to your employees and go to your profits. But the biggest thing is you got to keep those credit lines down so you can afford to keep getting product in the door. And actually, your credit lines in 2 days now versus 30 last month.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a great different place to be.
Right. No, it's well said. That's a good point. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can reach out to you.
Probably the best way to get me is mark@squaredawaycustoms.com.
And if all you guys listen, I'm going to put the Squared Away Customs link down below on this podcast, on this episode. Mark and I could talk about a million things. He's going to be back on the show. I'm sure we'll talk 100 times, but I can't thank him enough. Go check out Squared Away Customs. If you need a holster, you need help navigating this. If you're an FFL owner and you need help navigating this situation, reach out to Mark. He's a tremendous resource. He's a huge help. If you have a small business and you just don't know how to handle it and you're an FFL owner, reach out to this guy. I've known him for years. He's a phenomenal resource. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put links down below so everybody can check it out, to every FFL owner out there. I can't thank you enough, man, for taking some time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
No, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
That was Mark Lancaster, everybody, with Squared Away Customs. Go check out Squared Away Customs. They have a phenomenal product. He does a great job there. He also works in a high profile position with Sports South, which is a very large distributor out there. And to everybody out there that, hasn't taken the opportunity and you own an FFL to reach out and talk to an FFL owner, to a distributor or to somebody to get some consultation, go ahead and do it. It's the right thing to do. So I appreciate everyone, letting Mark kind of chime in. It's huge. Now, I want to redirect for a second, because I brought this up to Mark and I brought it up to many of folks regarding where this is going and marketing and branding and where this all shakes out. This is, as I said, unprecedented. I can't stress enough. You just heard it from someone who's on both sides, okay? This has never been seen before. This supersedes Sandy Hook. It supersedes everything we've seen in the industry. So it's something that is rare. It's something that's unique. It's something that I don't think we'll see again anytime soon. To everybody listening on Podbean, I'm open to any questions you have. To everybody listening on YouTube, I'm open to any questions you have. To those of you that are listening on iTunes as I put this up, go ahead and chime in and leave a remark. I had to do a podcast today, standalone without a guest, which is rare for me. But I felt some of these things needed to be addressed, discussed, talked about, and it's a slightly different format than we're used to. But I can't stress enough that these conversations I'm having across the board in the industry are exciting, but at the same time, I say them with a little pause, a little caution, a little, I want people to understand where this can go, what it means for your company, what it can mean for your brand, where it can lead to, what the next steps may be, how you get this stuff, get your head wrapped around this stuff is going to be critical, because we're going to reach a point, and to those of you that are joining me on an Instagram live, it's going to reach a point of saturation. So how you manage your business, how you manage your product, how you position yourself in the marketplace is going to be critical over the next few weeks. It's going to be insanely important. But I want to recap what I talked about. Ammo sales are absolutely unprecedented. They're unheard of. We've never seen anything like it. We've never seen anything like the amount of ammo that's been put out into the marketplace. What's up, Franny? We've never seen the amount of firearms that have been sold. We're going to probably have an unprecedented amount of NICS checks done this month. Never heard of. So to everybody out there that's a first-time buyer, first-time participant in this business, please support the business any way that you can. Dan, why do you say cheaper than dirt or ship bags? What's up, MTS Gear? So what I'm seeing out there in the marketplace is an insane run on product. And to every company owner out there, the onus I've put back on them is you have to manage your inventories. If you don't manage your inventories, you're going to fail incredibly. So those of you that want to share this live with any FFL owners, anybody out there, anybody looking for help, I just had Mark Lancaster from Squared Away Customs on. Mark Lancaster spoke on the amount of inventory that's been saturated, that's been lost, that's been put out into the marketplace. Ammo prices are ridiculous, Frenny. They're absolutely ridiculous. They're insane. Ammo prices have reached an all-time high. If I can get Renee from Bravo Concealment, I'm streaming live right now, guys, on Podbean if you want to tune in. If I take another call, anyone who calls in is going to be put on the show. I'm talking about the state of the gun industry. I'm talking about the amount of firearms being put out in the marketplace. I'm talking about the amount of ammo sales. I've talked with endless amounts of companies at a very, very high level, and I've never seen this happen. This is unprecedented. But what we're talking about is how do you convert those owners into long-time customers, into long-time participants in the industry. Burkett Customs said, I've sold guns I had in stock. I have had literally 0 grip sales lately, though. So I think that'll all trickle down. I think that'll all, I think as it goes on, camo, other things will be sold. If you get the opportunity to tune in, I'm going to go right from this podcast to a Republican candidate for Senate in New Jersey. Make sure you tune in. My local shop stopped selling ammo only to new gun purchases. Well, Frenny, you can expect that. It comes with the nature of the beast. Our orders have tripled. Renee, if you want to call in. I'll put you on. You can talk about it. I just had Mark Lancaster from Squared Away Customs. You're welcome to call in. What's up, Rick? I'll have Rick on after this. Renee, if you want to call in real fast, I'll put you on. Renee, if you want to call in real fast, I'll put you on. I want to get your thoughts really quick before I close out. But I want everybody to tune in. I'm going to put this podcast up on iTunes right after. I rarely do a solo podcast, and I wouldn't even consider this a solo one because we've had 2 call-ins. But go ahead and don't hesitate to ask any questions you have, because I'm doing my best to answer them for companies and for brands and for people even looking to make purchases. But I think this is going to send shockwaves through the industry for a long time. So if you guys are tuning in to the live on Podbean, tune into the live on Podbean. If you're not on Podbean, I'm streaming it on my YouTube channel right now. Head over to YouTube and check it out there. But I'm going to take one more call before the end of this, and I hope everybody tunes in on the different channels and leaves your remarks. Insane. Never seen anything like this. Absolutely insane. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I don't have... what's the channel name? My channel name on YouTube is just my name, or search the show, and you'll find it. So if you head over to YouTube, please leave comments, hearts. They all help. If you head over to iTunes, it's just the John Bartolo Show. Go ahead and leave some remarks there. I'm hoping everybody takes the time. I know it's a Sunday morning, and that makes it a little difficult, but I'm hoping everybody takes the time to tune in. I'm probably going to take one more call and address one more thing, but I want to let everybody know I take this time to thank the sponsors. Last week we had a great small business, MTS Gear. There's a lot of companies I love. Henry, Riton, Kenzies Optics, Breakthrough Clean. So many great brands. So many awesome people. Can't thank them enough. It's just wild, guys. It's absolutely wild. Insane. And I'm looking forward to it. And the companies that aren't capturing some of this market, the companies that aren't growing during this time of growth, and the companies that aren't making proper purchase strategies are the ones who are going to suffer. But as I said before, it's unprecedented. We've never seen it. It's a very unique time. So I'm hoping everybody takes the time to understand that and takes some time for themselves and understands that we've never been in a position like this. We've never seen this happen. I hope that for everybody's sake that they are willing to continue to participate in the industry. They're willing to be a great part of the defense industry. I hope this ever opens up everybody's eyes to maybe participate in so many different things, aspects of not just the firearms industry, but the defense industry as a whole. Everybody takes some responsibility for their body, for their personal well-being, and everybody stops relying on everybody else for help, because no one's going to come save you. No one's going to be your safety blanket. No one's responsible for your own personal health and taking care of yourself. Manage your basic human interactions. Make sure that you're smart. Make sure you continue to take care of your family. And you understand that this is something that has been coming for a long time. It's been on the horizon for a while. It's not going to fix itself overnight. It's going to take time. The run that we've seen, not just in the firearms industry, but in the industry as a whole, is absolutely unprecedented, unheard of. And it's going to continue. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Protect your family. And make sure you stay safe. It's a novel thought, right? It's a novel thought. I don't know what everyone else thinks out there. I don't know what everybody's going through. I talk to tons of people across the industry, across the footprint of the industry. I try to have as many conversations as I can, but it's been pretty wild, to say the least. And I'm looking forward to how this all plays out for the good of the American people, for the good of everybody across the country, in hopes that we learn from it. And I'm glad we're learning from it, and it's not an epidemic that could cause some insanely irreversible ramifications. Not saying that this didn't or hasn't, but the reality is there's a lot of people that took this lightly, that went into this lightly, and they're not going to be taking it lightly anymore. That I can guarantee you. That I can promise you. So we'll see how that plays out. I want to thank everyone for participating. I got to roll right into another podcast. So I appreciate everyone taking the time. Thanks to the sponsors. Thanks to everyone. What's up, squad? Thanks to everyone who participated. Tapping hearts, sharing. I'm going to roll right into a second episode with a Senate candidate out of New Jersey. So be sure and chime in, tune in, participate in that. We'll be going hot in probably 10 minutes, and I'll be rolling right into that. So I hope everybody tunes in. I'll be back live in 15 minutes, and I'll be talking with all of you again. So I hope everyone has a great day and has an even better weekend. And to everyone tuning in next, this one's going to be a great one. We'll get into a lot of the same topics and even some other stuff. But hopefully I'll talk to you all soon.